Hi, I'm back today to do a little library haul. I actually was watching a video by Ariel Bissett, and she mentioned, it was a video called, I think it was something about like why book hauls are good or something like that. And I've never really thought about doing like a book haul before. I'm not sure why, but I decided that I wanted to participate because I do think it's cool to see like what people are going to be reading and not just the individual books that they have really liked, or themed maybe book hauls and stuff like that. I just want to show you what I've just picked up. I don't buy a lot of books because I do reread books, but I don't reread a lot of books. I mean, I read probably about 50 books a year. This year I'm a little bit ahead. I think I'm at like 36 or 37. And it would be impossible to reread, and I actually wouldn't, want to reread all of those. So I'm going to show you, I have 6 books, and I actually have a DVD. I don't know if that's dumb to show, but I'm excited about that. So yeah, I just recently picked up 6 books from the library. I'm super pumped about it. I've been really on a reading kick again. I was kind of off of it for a little bit. So yeah, I can start with the one that I finished today finally. I picked up Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. I had this on audiobook, but it's kind of hard when you get a library or an audiobook from the library. You get it on discs, which is fine. I'll just listen to it in my car, but I don't have a very long drive to work. My drive is like 5 minutes. So it was just taking me so long to get through, and I just thought, like, I just want to hear this story. So I listened to a lot of it. I would actually really recommend listening to it because he has that like beautiful voice and that South African accent. I love the way he says Volkswagen. I did a terrible version of that, but I thought he did a really good job on it. I just wanted to get through it, and I actually found that this was so good, just as good on paper. It doesn't always happen that way. I think sometimes, or usually, I prefer one or the other, but this one was so good, and it talked about him growing up during apartheid and just all of the shenanigans he went through. He was like kind of a naughty kid, and talks about the abuse his mom went through, and I just think this is a wonderful book. It's one that I probably will purchase, and I would recommend it to almost anyone. He does swear a lot in it, so if you're offended by that kind of stuff, I think that could put someone off, but otherwise this is a wonderful book, and I loved it from beginning to end, and I will definitely reread that. The next book is the book I'm currently reading. I just started reading this, and it is called Extraordinary Means by Robin Schneider. She wrote The Beginning of Everything, which was kind of a big book. I think she's a YouTuber, right? Am I wrong? She wrote The Beginning of Everything. I read that a few years ago, and I really loved it, so I just picked it up just based on the author. This is a group of kids who are at this house. It's called the Latham House, and it's a sanitarium for teens suffering from an incurable strain of tuberculosis. So I believe that strain of tuberculosis is made up for this story, and I'm just really getting into it, but I thought it kind of sounded interesting. It's a bunch of sick kids. There's a girl and a boy. I'm assuming that they'll be romantically involved at some point, but with an incurable illness, I would imagine that someone is going to die at some point in the story. I really like it. I like the way she writes. It took me a little bit to get into it. I'm like 85 pages into it, but it's, it's quite small. It's young adult, so I'm enjoying this so far. The first one I read out of this haul was Station 11, and I loved this so much, and I would tell a lot of people to read this as well. This is post-apocalyptic fiction, obviously, but I felt like this is the first one that really made me think about what like the true end of the world as we know it would be, and how how broken our world would be, and how like building that back up. And it was such a great character study. It sounds really weird because all of the characters are kind of tied into this actor who dies in like the first chapter of the book, and you kind of think like, why would I want to know? It says something about how like it follows like a few of his wives and like all these characters who are kind of like intertwined in his life, which I kind of was like, who cares, but I loved this book a lot, and I feel like I'll probably reread it eventually, maybe listen to it on audio, but I really, really liked this one. So for the ones that I have not read yet, I picked up Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. Yeah, Julie Murphy. She wrote Dumplin', which I read January of 2016, and I really, really loved it. This is about a girl who lived through Hurricane Katrina, and I think moves to Mississippi, and it sounds like, you know, she's just kind of dealing with family stuff. The controversy around this, before it was even released, because it's like brand new, like I for sure am the first person who's reading this. The controversy around this is that this girl is, I don't know if she identifies as a lesbian or if she identifies as a, maybe she's bisexual, I'm not sure, but she, I believe, has a romantic relationship with a boy, and so then kind of struggles with her sexual identity, and she questions whether or not, I think that makes her feel like she's questioning her sexuality, I guess. And there was a lot of controversy around that because I think people who are gay, lesbian, whatever, they don't necessarily want to read a story about a gay character turning heterosexual. So I'm excited to read this. I doubt that it's as black and white as you know, comments and social media make it sound, but I'm looking forward to reading this because I really do like the way that Julie writes. And yeah, we'll see. I might do a separate review for that. The last actual book I have is The Hate U Give. I literally picked this up because I just kept seeing it on Instagram all over. I know this is going to deal with a young person. It says 16-year-old Star Carter moves between two worlds, poor black neighborhood where she lives and fancy suburban prep school she attends. I feel like I've read a lot of stories that are kind of like that in the last year. But her, I believe, like childhood friend or something ends up getting shot by a police officer, so it's very kind of timely for our culture, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. It's gotten really good reviews, so we'll see. And I think this one is like brand, it says, oh yeah, it does, it says new up here, so it feels like it's like brand new. Looking forward to this one as well. I also got an audiobook, which I forgot to bring up here. It's in my car, and I got Issa Rae's The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. Literally just started it. I'm like maybe halfway through the first disc. This was recommended to me by a girl that I've kind of become like social media friends with, starting here. I think her YouTube name is Books Not Detention, and she really liked this story, so I'm listening to that on audiobook. And actually I requested it on audio on accident, so when I got to the library to grab my stuff, I was like, oh crap, like should I just return it? But I actually really like her delivery, and so far she's talking about, she must be around my age, like in her mid-30s or so. I'm not actually sure, so I hope she's not offended. She would never watch my video. But yeah, she's has like a really great delivery, and she's talking right now about like AOL Messenger and stuff like that, so I feel like that's like funny to reminisce about that. And she's talking about like people asking like in chat rooms like ASL and stuff like that, and so I've been enjoying listening to that. And then the last thing is my DVD. I got a Monster Calls. I literally never think to get DVDs on like from the library, but they're free. Like I get a movie free for 1 week. I can renew it, I suppose, too, so you could have it probably up to like 3 weeks at my library. Why don't I check out DVDs? Like when I want to see a new movie, why pay for it when I can just take it from the library? I don't know. It like never occurs to me. Do any of you out there watching, do you take DVDs out? Am I just like silly for not thinking of it? I'm not sure, but I'm really excited about this. I read this. It was so beautiful. I know it's going to be a cry fest, so I haven't watched it yet because I haven't been in the mood to cry. But it's supposed to have been really, really good, and I'm looking forward to watching that. So, this was my first library haul, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. These are such good books so far. Like, I've been, like, just reading the best books. So, let me know if you are watching this, if you have read any of these, / what you are currently reading. I always, always, always am adding to my to-be-read list. Okay, so I will talk to you later. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.